Ladies and gentlemen, what is the heaviest burden you are carrying today? Is it the fear of tomorrow, the pain of your past, or the uncertainty of today? Let me tell you this truth: worry is a thief. It robs you of peace, drains your strength, and blinds you from the blessings God has already prepared for you. But today, you have the power to release every worry into the hands of the Lord. Worry is a thief because it sneaks into the heart and mind silently. Yet it robs more than we realize. It steals peace, which is one of the most precious gifts a person can ever have. When peace is gone, the mind becomes restless and the heart becomes heavy. Instead of enjoying the present moment, worry drags you into a prison of what ifs and what might happen. It steals sleep in the quiet of the night, turning hours meant for rest into endless circles of fear and anxiety. Worry steals energy during the day, making you feel drained even when you have not worked hard. It weakens the body, clouds the mind, and leaves the soul weary. Worry also steals time. Hours pass while a person sits lost in anxious thoughts, replaying negative scenarios or imagining disasters that may never come. Those hours could have been spent in joy, in creativity, in prayer, in growth, or in love. But worry is like a thief that keeps you distracted while life is quietly slipping away. It keeps you busy thinking, but unproductive in action. Many people lose opportunities because they were too busy worrying about what could go wrong instead of trusting in what could go right. Another way worry acts as a thief is by stealing confidence. A person who worries constantly begins to doubt their own abilities, decisions, and even their worth. Instead of stepping out in faith, they step back in fear. Worry whispers lies that you are not capable, that you will fail, that nothing will work out. In doing so, it steals courage and replaces it with hesitation. It stops people from moving forward into the blessings and opportunities that could transform their lives. Worry also robs relationships. A worried heart is often distracted and distant, unable to fully love and connect with others. It makes people impatient, irritable, and sometimes even fearful of losing the very relationships they value most. Instead of enjoying time with loved ones, worry causes minds to wander into dark places, missing the beauty of the present. Above all, worry is a thief because it steals trust in God. It tells you to hold on to your problems tightly instead of releasing them into His hands. It convinces you that you must carry everything on your own, even though the Lord has promised to carry your burdens. Worry blinds people from seeing God's faithfulness in the past and His promises for the future. It shifts focus from the greatness of God to the size of the problem. In this way, worry doesn't just rob peace and joy. It robs faith itself. The more we entertain worry, the more it takes. It never gives back what it has stolen. That is why it is called a thief, because it enters uninvited, takes what is valuable, and leaves emptiness behind. The only way to stop it is to surrender every anxious thought into the hands of the Lord and let Him guard the heart with His perfect peace. Surrender brings victory because it is the moment when human weakness meets divine strength. Many people believe that victory comes by striving harder, pushing more, and refusing to let go. But true spiritual triumph is not found in clinging tightly to control. It is discovered when we open our hands, release our burdens, and acknowledge that our own strength is not enough. Surrender is not defeat as the world defines it. It is the gateway to a higher kind of power, A victory that is only possible when God steps in to fight the battles that human effort cannot win. When a person surrenders their struggles, fears, and anxieties to the Lord, they step out of the prison of self-reliance. Human wisdom is limited, human strength is fragile, and human plans often fail. But when one yields to God, they allow His infinite wisdom, His unshakable strength, and His perfect plans to take over. This exchange transforms the battlefield. The fight is no longer carried by human hands, but by the hand of the Almighty, who never loses. What may have seemed impossible begins to shift, because the one who holds authority over heaven and earth now carries the weight of the battle. Surrender also brings freedom from the heavy burdens that drain the soul. Carrying the load of worry, fear, and control leads to exhaustion and despair, but placing everything into God's hands brings release. That release is itself a victory, because it allows peace to flow where stress once ruled, faith to grow where doubt once lingered, and joy to return where sorrow had taken over. By surrendering, a person lays down the chains of fear and picks up the freedom of trust, and in that freedom, victory becomes possible. There is also a deeper level of victory in surrender, one that reshapes the heart. When we surrender, we align ourselves with God's will rather than our own limited desires. Many times, what we think is a victory is only a shadow of what God truly intends for us. By letting go, we open the way for His greater purpose, which far exceeds what we could imagine or accomplish on our own. This kind of victory is not temporary or shallow. It is lasting and eternal, because it is rooted in divine wisdom rather than human ambition. Surrendering also builds faith. For every time we let go of control and trust God, we witness His hand working in ways that confirm His presence and power. Each answered prayer, each opened door, each unexpected breakthrough becomes proof that victory truly belongs to those who yield. Faith grows stronger as we see that God does not abandon those who trust Him, and that even in the darkest battles, His hand is mighty to save. In the end, surrender is not weakness, but strength, not loss, but gain, not defeat, but triumph. Victory does not come by holding tighter to fear or control, but by releasing it all into the hands of the one who has already overcome the world. Like a child releasing a burden, surrendering to God is an act of trust that brings both relief and transformation. A child does not overanalyze or complicate matters when the weight is too heavy. The natural response is to look up to the parent and stretch out trembling hands, trusting that help will come. This is the purest picture of how we are called to release our burdens into the hands of the Lord. Just as a child cannot carry what is beyond their strength, so we too are not designed to bear the crushing weight of fear, guilt, anxiety, or pain on our own. The beauty of this image lies in its simplicity. The child is not asked to solve the problem, only to let go and trust. When we carry burdens that are far heavier than what our hearts and minds can handle, we stumble and weaken. Life becomes overwhelming because the weight we carry is not meant for us. Like a child struggling with a load far too big, we often try to manage, thinking we must be strong enough, only to find ourselves exhausted. Yet, the moment the child surrenders that burden into the hands of the Father, an immediate change occurs. The heaviness is lifted, the pressure relieved, and peace takes its place. This is exactly what happens when we entrust our struggles to God. The relief is not imaginary, it is real. because the one who carries the universe has taken our weight upon himself. The child in this picture does not doubt whether the parent is strong enough to carry the load. A child simply believes. That innocent faith is powerful because it recognizes the parent's ability without question. In the same way, when we release our burdens to God, we acknowledge that He is strong enough, wise enough, and loving enough to carry what we cannot. It is not a sign of weakness, but a profound act of faith, declaring that we trust Him more than we trust ourselves. Releasing burdens like a child also brings restoration to the heart. A child who is relieved of the weight is able to laugh, run, and enjoy life again. In our lives, worry and fear often steal our joy. But when those burdens are surrendered, the heart is free to rejoice again. The lightness of spirit that follows surrender is a testimony of God's peace replacing human stress. It is a shift from heaviness to freedom, from despair to hope, from struggle to rest. This childlike release also teaches humility. Adults often resist letting go because of pride, believing they must be in control or that surrender is a sign of failure. But a child does not think this way. They know instinctively that their parent is stronger and that asking for help is not shameful, but natural. To live in such humility is to live in alignment with God's truth, for He never intended us to carry what only He can bear. Like a child releasing a burden, surrendering to God is the pathway to peace, strength, and a deeper intimacy with Him. God cares deeply for you, and this truth is more powerful than any fear, doubt, or pain you may be facing. His care is not distant or cold, but personal, tender, and constant. Every detail of your life matters to Him. Every tear you shed is noticed. Every prayer you whisper is heard, and every burden you carry is felt by Him. Unlike human care that can fade or fail, the care of God never changes because it flows from His eternal love. He does not love you because of what you do for Him. He loves you because you are His creation, His child, formed in His image, and chosen to be the object of His unending compassion. When we say God cares deeply, it means He is not indifferent to the struggles you face. He sees the weight of your heart when no one else does. He understands the pain that words cannot express and the worries that keep you awake at night. His care goes beyond sympathy. It is active, powerful, and full of intention. He does not merely observe from afar, but steps into your situation with His presence, offering strength when you are weak, peace when you are anxious, and hope when you are discouraged. His care is seen in the small details of life and in the grand movements of His plan for your future. God's care is also patient and unconditional. People may grow tired of listening, may fail to understand, or may even walk away, but God never does. His care is constant, steady, and enduring, even when you feel unworthy or distant from Him. His care does not diminish. He does not abandon or withdraw His love when you fall short. Instead, He draws nearer, ready to restore and lift you up again. This is the depth of His care. It is not dependent on your perfection, but on His unchanging character. To know that God cares deeply for you is to realize that you are never alone. Loneliness may whisper lies that no one sees you or understands, but God's care declares the opposite. He is closer than your very breath, and His eyes are always upon you with love. Even in seasons of silence, when it feels like prayers go unanswered, His care is working behind the scenes in ways you cannot yet see. What feels like delay is often His perfect timing. And what feels like unanswered prayers are sometimes His greater plans unfolding. This deep care also calls you to trust Him. If He cares enough to clothe the flowers of the field and feed the birds of the air, how much more will He provide for you, His beloved? Trusting His care frees the heart from anxiety and fear, because you can rest in the assurance that the one who rules the universe is personally involved in your life. His care is the anchor in every storm, the comfort in every valley, and the assurance that no matter what happens, you are held securely in His love. The secret to peace is surrender, because true peace does not come from trying to control every detail of life, but from learning to release control into the hands of God. Many people spend their days battling thoughts, fears, and anxieties, believing that if they could only manage every outcome, then peace would come. But the more control we try to hold on to, the heavier life becomes. Worry multiplies, fear deepens, and rest becomes harder to find. Peace is not found in clinging tightly, but in letting go and trusting the one who holds all things together. Surrender is not giving up in despair, but choosing to hand over the burdens, the uncertainties, and the unanswered questions to God. It is the quiet but powerful act of saying, Lord, I cannot handle this on my own, but I believe you can. That moment of release creates space for His peace to enter. Anxiety thrives in the soil of self-reliance, but peace blossoms in the atmosphere of trust. When the heart surrenders, it no longer wrestles with the impossible, but rests in the assurance that God is faithful and able to carry what we cannot. There is a supernatural peace that comes only through surrender, a peace that surpasses human understanding. It is not dependent on circumstances being perfect or problems disappearing. Instead, it is a peace that exists even in the storm, because it is anchored in God's presence and promise. When you surrender, you no longer need to understand every detail of the journey, because you trust the one who leads you. The storm may still rage, but the soul remains calm because it rests in the hands of the Almighty. Surrender also frees the heart from constant striving. Many people carry the weight of trying to earn peace by working harder, fixing everything, or controlling others. But the more they strive, the more restless they become. Peace is never the product of striving. It is the fruit of surrender. To surrender is to exchange your weakness for His strength, your fear for His confidence, and your confusion for His wisdom. In that exchange, peace takes root and begins to guard the heart. This surrender is not a one-time act, but a daily choice. Every morning, life presents new challenges, and the temptation to worry or control arises again. But each day offers the chance to surrender afresh, to lay down the burden before it grows heavy. With every act of surrender, peace grows deeper, stronger, and more unshakable. The heart learns to trust more quickly, to rest more fully, and to live more freely. The secret to peace is not in changing the world around you, but in yielding the world within you to God. When the heart is surrendered, the mind finds clarity, the spirit finds rest, and the soul finds strength. Peace is no longer something distant or fragile. It becomes a living reality because it flows from the one who is perfect peace Himself. Worry ends where faith begins, because the two cannot occupy the same space in the heart at the same time. Worry thrives on fear, doubt, and uncertainty, while faith is rooted in trust, confidence, and assurance in God's promises. When worry takes over, The mind becomes consumed with questions like, what if this happens? Or, what if things go wrong? But when faith rises, those same questions are silenced by a deeper truth. Even if I don't see the answer now, I know God is in control. Worry feeds on the unknown, but faith thrives on the known character of God. Worry is like a constant shadow that follows a person, draining energy and peace, whispering lies that the future is uncertain and uncontrollable. It tells you that you must figure everything out on your own and that the outcome rests entirely on your shoulders. But faith speaks differently. Faith declares that you are not alone, that God's hand is already working, and that the burden is not yours to carry. The moment you choose to place your trust in God's power instead of your own, worry loses its grip. That is why worry ends where faith begins. Because faith shifts the focus from the size of the problem to the greatness of God. Faith is not denial of reality, it is the recognition of a greater reality. Problems may still exist, challenges may still come, but faith says that God is bigger than every mountain and stronger than every storm. Worry sees the obstacle, faith sees the one who can move it. Worry sees the closed door, faith sees the God who can open another. Worry fills the heart with questions. Faith fills the heart with confidence. This shift is what brings peace in the middle of chaos and strength in the middle of weakness. When a person chooses faith over worry, they step into freedom. Faith releases the need to control every outcome and instead leans on God's wisdom and timing. Worry paralyzes, but faith empowers. Worry weakens, but faith strengthens. Worry focuses on the problem, but faith focuses on the promise. Each time faith is chosen, peace replaces panic and courage replaces fear. It does not mean the journey is always easy, but it means the heart remains steady because it is anchored in trust. The beauty of this truth is that even the smallest seed of faith can silence the loudest voice of worry. It doesn't require perfect faith, only willing faith. When you take even one step of trust, choosing to believe that God will provide, protect, and guide, you begin to see worry dissolve. Faith creates room for hope, and where hope lives, worry cannot survive. To live in faith is to live in victory, because worry cannot dominate a heart that is fully surrendered to God's care. Worry ends where faith begins, and faith begins the moment you decide to trust God more than your fears.